about to share with y'all more an in-depth reason of why I started this whole journey to Broadway process. Well, like sharing it. I was thinking one day, and I explained this in my initial video, but I feel like it deserves a little more clarification. I feel like after a few months of me, dealing with my feelings of quarantine and not being able to work, I was just thinking like this is a great time to quit because you have so many naysayers who are coming out of the woodwork saying,
oh, this is why you shouldn't go into the arts, it's unstable, blah, 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 blah.
And it's like, sis, people who aren't artists are also losing their jobs. And so it came to me, I was like, this is the perfect time to share what it looks like to be in the midst of a mystical time, right? But I figured like, I want to share, how do you persevere in a time like this? Because realistically, like, it would be nice to quit. You won't have the stress. There are a lot of things within this industry that are not guaranteed. Ask yourself, do you really want this? You have a lot that looks like it's against you, but when it comes down to pursuing a career in the arts, you are your only visionary. Like, you have to see it before anybody else sees it. And I just felt like this is a moment to share with anyone who is feeling doubt that, one, it's okay. You shouldn't give up on what you have worked so hard to build. You've gotten to this point, you've convinced people around you that you are worth supporting, and because it looks a lot unsure, you feel like, okay, now you need to give up. No, sis, you keep going, or bro, you keep going. Because if you follow anyone's journey really closely, they tend to share the times when they were ready to quit, and right at the moment when they were gonna quit, something came through. For instance, I wasn't gonna quit last year, but after I finished a contract, I took a trip. When I came back, I didn't have anything planned. Mind you, at the end of 2018, I had booked myself out until May of 2019, which is like, okay, sis, yes, you're doing it. I felt good. Now we get to June, and I was like, okay, what's going on? I got back from my trip. I was like, okay, I'm back to auditioning, but usually I grieve after I do a show, or if you don't know, post-show depression is real. So I didn't necessarily have time to be depressed because I had my trip and I was still on a really nice high. I spent time with my family. And then when I got back, I was just like, okay, there are 6 months left in the year and I cannot settle. I'm out on a date. And while I'm on the date, I get a text from my agent saying I had an audition the next day. And when I tell you I looked at that audition packet and I almost fell out, I said, how am I going to learn all of this by tomorrow? I ended up going home. I was like, we need to cut this short. Sorry, hun, but baby girl's gotta work. So I go home, I look through the packet, and instead of getting discouraged, I was like, you know what? I got this. I came up with a strategy. I said, I'm going to learn all of the music, have that memorized. I'm going to be extremely familiar with the side, but I'm going to have it in front of me because I don't like to hold the paper in the audition room. Everyone has different feelings about that, but for me personally, I don't like to hold paper in my hand or feel like I need to look at them intensely. When I get to the audition, I don't live in New York. I commute to New York. I'm sitting there, I'm minding my business, and I was like, you know what do you want to accomplish today? There's a strategy when it comes to auditioning. I pride myself on being a wonderful performer, but coming up with a strategy or a routine when it comes to auditioning, I wasn't necessarily good at, and I wanted to come up with a formula that would improve the way that I perform when I'm in my audition. I remember talking to myself. I talk to myself a lot. I was trying to figure out what is my goal today with this audition, and I said, I'm always getting the comment that I need to take a moment. I took that to heart. I was like, you know what, today I'm gonna make sure to breathe. I'm gonna take a few seconds for myself and then start, because that way I'm calm. I have control over my emotions. My anxiety is now reduced, and I'm not paying attention to things that just don't matter in the moment. I go in the room, right, and they ask me, they're like, so what do you want to start with first? I said, oh, I have a choice. They were like, yes. I said, oh, singing, of course. I sing. They made me sing one of the songs. Nailed it, which was funny because the song that I started with was one of the ones that I felt slightly insecure on. But I was like, you know what, baby girl, you slay. You're gonna do this because you can. There's no point in you talking down to yourself when you're in the room. I get through that, and everyone on the table is pretty much smiling, which is something also. I wear glasses. case in point. And I take them off when I get in the room so that, they can see my eyes. I would just go in, I'll have my glasses on so I can see the table and look at them. Then I would take it off so that they can see who I am when I'm auditioning. After that, I had about, no exaggeration, probably like 7-8 songs. They had me sing through about 5. One of the songs that they asked me to sing, they're like, do you know the song? And I was like, oh yeah, and I started to sing it. I don't think I had the sheet music to that, so while the accompanist was looking for it, I ended up doing the side. Now, when it comes to sides, that's where I struggle the most in terms of making sure that I take a moment to breathe, because I want to make sure that I am actually acting out my goal of the character. Like, what does she want to say? How does she want to sound? What is the mood that you want to bring? I read through the side once and they're like, okay, good. Then they gave me feedback. I do it again and then they gave me another note. So then after that, we do it the 3rd time. And that time the producers are like, wow, even the reader improved during that time. And I felt good because I felt like they saw me in a position of reading. I had a strong first read. They gave me a note because they wanted to see if I could take direction. Then furthermore, giving me another one from a different person. And I just felt encouraged because I was like, oh wow, this is awesome to experience. So then I ended up singing the song that they wanted me to sing. The accompanist found the sheet music, sang through that. And I remember leaving the room and I was like, that audition was probably one of the best I've done and also one of my favorite ones, because I felt like with all the things that were happening, I was still able to go in there and conquer it. After that, I ended up leaving. Yes, it was a good audition, but don't get your hopes up. You did well, and that's the goal. So, of course, my emotions still got the best of me. And I was staying with my cousin. If you have family in a place where you want to work, lean on them heavy. I would not be where I am if it wasn't for family. I went back to my cousin's apartment. She wasn't there, she was at work. And right before I was about to leave, I have a full-blown meltdown in her apartment. I was like, God, I don't know what this is all supposed to mean. My heart is in this. I'm working on being prepared. I'm working on showing up, being the best that I can be. I want to be, I want my family to be proud of me. I packed up my stuff and I was like, you know what is meant to be will be. And I'm going to put this all in God's hands, because all I can do is control me. I can control how I show up, and I can control the manner in which I show up to the world. And I think, when I say world, I just mean like my career path with my industry, when I'm interacting with people, when I'm letting them see who I am. Right as I left, I'm walking out of her apartment. Literally, I want to say I was about a block or 2 down, and I get an email from my agent saying that they're offering me the role. Mind you, I just had a meltdown about if this was right for me. Now, I don't want anyone to take this as like I felt validated by that, but I think that moment of breaking down and feeling like, oh my goodness, should I still continue? That was the whole purpose of me telling you guys this story. Those are moments when it's just like, I really don't know if I'm meant to continue. Do I have the heart for this? To go in and feel like you had one of the best auditions and then potentially think, even though it was really great, and I have a great gauge of like figuring out, okay, this is how well I did, these are the things I need to improve. I'm really hard on myself when it comes to that. So I'm not someone who leaves and I'm like, oh yeah, great job. No, it's like, you did this very well, this one you still need to work out. So for me to get to that point of like, okay, I know that was a signal for me to keep going. I shouldn't forget what I have done to get to this point, and I also need to remember what I have. I need to be watered consistently, and I also need to make sure that I remember that. I have to show up and be there for myself. Right now, fast forward to quarantine, we're in a space where a lot is unknown. You have shows that are not coming back, unexpectedly closed. You have people who are depending on income. Everyone's coming from a different family situation. To assume, that everyone is fine, even if people are on Broadway, you don't know their expenses. They could be paying for people. They might have a team. They might have families. New York is expensive. That's one of the reasons why I don't even live there now. I just feel like it is cheaper for me to commute from home, and I have the ability to commute back and forth. So there's no point in me making such a huge sacrifice to pay for rent when I can put money towards my career and also build my business as a voice teacher. So I just feel like during this time, take the steps to remember who you are and why you are doing this. If you do not have a definition for that, then this field is going to constantly feel like a task. And I strongly suggest, have your moment, feel out all of the things that you are feeling. All feelings are valid because everyone is in a different position. There have been so many blessings that I've received during this time, and when it is time to share, I will share them. But I have been very fortunate during this time to experience blessings and opportunities that I probably would have missed if I didn't take the time to acknowledge the world around me. And even in the midst of darkness, it's important for you to take a step back and realize that this is the time where it means the most for you to keep going. You have to keep going because somebody in this world has to see your story, your journey, and how you were able to persevere. If everyone was just able to wake up and make it, what will it mean? And that's the whole point of me even sharing this story with you. As we are in quarantine, there are a lot of situations going on, and I pray and hope that you are safe, well, and supported during this time. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And if you are someone who feels like you want to give up or you feel like it is not worth it, do not. I'm doing this whole journey of a task a day because that's literally what it takes for you to succeed. That one thing that you have to do today that will help you tomorrow, even if the vision seems far away. That light in the tunnel, no matter how small it is, it's still a light. I'm going to put on my lashes, finish up my face, and do my hair, and then I'm going to hop back on here because I have 15 minutes to get prepared because I have a couple lessons that are back to back. So I'll see you in a little bit. So I'm just coming back to wrap up. I hope that you got something from what I was explaining earlier, just to keep going and to work on your craft continually. This is a journey, and this is the perfect time to dig deep and find your purpose for which you are choosing to pursue a career in the arts. So right now I am going to start teaching, and then I will be heading towards the next task. So I will see y'all